Shall we get a new Zoe?
No. No.
Oh. So after that ringing endorsement about getting a new Zoe from the kids, I guess you can see my predicament. This car that we currently have, it has been a great car for us, and my wife loves it, the kids love it, I really like it too, and so it's a really tough decision in that respect, that we've got something that we know and we like. However, the thing inside me is still the same. You know, the thoughts inside me are still the same. It's not like any other car where we could just keep it for 3 or 4 years. I think the value of these cars, the value that they have now is very high. We've lost very little money on this car compared to any other kind of car from this, you know, from this manufacturer, from Renault. And many others besides. So I've been talking to a few dealers. I saw on the club that they have a new club dealer. So they haven't got rid of their other one. So they've now got a dealer in the eastern region at Lowestoft and Mitchell's Renault. And I gave them a call, and actually I found them to be, and I don't know whether this is pure luck or whether Craig at the club, I don't know, has had got a good vibe from these guys, but certainly compared to some of the other dealers I've been talking to, they phoned me back, which was, you know, quite a shock actually, after I inquired as to, you know, what my car might be worth and what the pricing of a new car might be. I've had some pretty woeful experiences with dealers just not really, you know, unless I turn up with a bucket of money and just pour it on their table, they don't really seem that interested in phoning you back and doing a bit of legwork. So I was pleasantly surprised with the interactions. I dropped Matt at the dealer a message, and then Craig from the dealer phoned me straight back, literally within 5 minutes of me dropping a Facebook message out to them, which was fantastic. And then he basically ran me through that there's a few cars actually in the UK already, and we had a chat about specs, and as you saw in the last video, I was concerned that we were going to lose some things off the car we currently have if we went for the same spec this time. And we had a few conversations around the different specs, but I did ask him to see if there were any GT lines around and what the difference really would be compared to the Iconic. So basically it turned out that there really wasn't that much difference between the price of a GT line and the price of an Iconic, within, you know, in terms of a monthly fee. So obviously this is all on a finance deal. I'll be taking the equity, if you like, in my car and placing that into a new car. So really, again, because I don't think I didn't buy outright the current Zoe. I didn't see any kind of value in that, because I knew I wasn't going to keep it for very long, because I knew it was going to be like like I've said before, I knew this thing was going to be like a piece of technology rather than a car traditionally would be. So therefore I chose to kind of do a PCP deal on it, but I never had any intention of kind of keeping it to the end of the PCP deal. Hence why the battery lease worked for me as well, because it was the cheapest way of doing it. So the conclusion was basically that it could be an Iconic for about £190 a month, or it could be a GT line for just under £220 a month. Now I currently pay, with the battery lease, £250 a month for mine. So in terms of cost, yes, it's a much more expensive car, £34,000 ish if you look at the sort of the list price. But I can say that that's not what you would obviously end up paying. And so we settled on a GT line, and fantastically there's one in the country which has everything that we want. It's in the right colour, it's in the right spec. So it's got the GT line spec, but it's also got the winter pack on there. So it's got the heated seats, heated steering wheel, and it hasn't got bows. Not many of them seem to be coming with bows, unless you specify it. A little bit in two minds about that, but on reflection, the amount of times that we're actually in the car and can appreciate bows is actually very small. Because we've got young children, we don't kind of run around the car blasting out really loud music, and ultimately the music's on a little bit quieter than it would be. There's a few times I've gone out in it on my own and whacked the stereo up, but you can count them on like one hand. So for the £500, and then obviously to have to wait for a car to be made, imported, and all the rest of it, and God knows how long that would take right now with everything that's going on in the world. So I'll put the deposit down, and so in a week or two we shall be the proud owner of a new ZE50 GT line, which is fantastic. And I can't wait, because I think there's, compared to what we've got now, it's going to be a bit of an uplift. There are going to be a few things, I think, which are going to be little niggles that I will miss from the current car. I will certainly miss the ability to open the charge port from the key fob. I will miss being able to preheat the car from the key fob. I might miss the real handbrake as well. But these are little things that we will just have to adapt to kind of keep up with the technology. And that's one thing I like to do. I like to keep up with technology, and the EV technology is quite exciting. We might not have to go to the next one after this. I think in terms of, we're going to have to see how it works for us in the real world. But I don't think that this car might be a car that has a more long-lived and more and is more appealing to more people, because I think that some people, the battery lease, they get put off by. It wouldn't put me off, but some people might get put off by that. This car doesn't have that. It has CCS charging. As long as CCS charging doesn't go away, which I can't see it doing, then it's going to be appealing from the standpoint that pretty much any charger you rock up to, you're going to be able to charge either on your Type 2 up to 22 kilowatts or your CCS up to 50 kilowatts. So that feels good. Of course, does it actually do that in reality? I don't know. And under what conditions does it charge 50 kilowatts? I don't know. We're just going to have to find out. But stick around and you'll find out too. Now, some people in the comments have said, why don't you go for a different car? Have you considered other cars? So I've been suggested the MG and the ID Golf, apparently, although I don't think that's actually in the UK right now, but a very interesting car nonetheless, and the Peugeot. So I think the main answer to those is it's actually not my car. So I feel a bit bad for telling my wife that we're getting her a new car. She's quite happy with the car she's got, but again, I'm thinking about the fact that we can pay less for essentially something better. So why wouldn't we? And I'm sure she'll come around. So I don't want to replace the car with something completely alien to her. It will be her car to drive most of the time. I know you see me in these videos, and she kind of, but it is her car at the end of the day. I have the Leaf. If I'd rather take one off the driveway, I'm going to say it's going to have to be the Zoe, because it feels a lot more sporty, and hopefully it will feel even better in the new one. But I didn't want to inflict a car on her that she might not like, and there's a lot to like about the Zoe, and she's very comfortable with it. So that is the main reason for kind of sticking with the Zoe as a car. I must say I don't find the looks particularly attractive on the Peugeot. The availability of the Golf is the issue, and in fact I think the Golf would be one that we would consider when the Leaf is no more, when we get rid of that. But hopefully the Leaf's kind of going to flourish into this amazing vehicle to grid car at some point, when the vehicle to grid trial gets back on its feet. That there's a few things going on with that, so maybe it's a decent enough car, but there's just some things about it which it hasn't really endeared us. That's the other thing about the Zoe. There's something you can't quantify, but it's got surprising amount of character for a car. Not necessarily in the way it drives and handles, but there's just something about it. And I can't say the same for every car I've owned, including the Leaf, where they're very much just a car. So really, that's it. I've put one on order. It's in the UK already. It'll be here in a matter of weeks, and we can take a trip up to the really good chaps at Lowestoft, Mitchell's Renault, when they get that in, and we'll take you along for the ride too. So stay tuned. Don't forget to like it and share and subscribe and all that jazz. But we'll see you in the next one. So take care.